Quaker.
You
know that?
Whack.
Yeah, that's funny. But he was a Quaker. Then he bombed Cambodia, like those peaceful Quakers do. It is 9:30 something on a Thursday night, and you're tuned in to Beltway Radio and Beyond, which can mean one and only thing. This is Chip Chat. Welcome to Chip Chat, everybody. I'm Chip. Who are you, Brian?
I'm not the white man. So.
You're not the white man today. on this show, you can change.
Yeah.
On your other shows that you're a character on, or I would say, I don't know what to call you. Caricature. On the other shows that you are a participant in, you can't be transracial. But here on Chip Chat, you can change, man. You could be black, you could be white, you could be purple. I don't know. Yes, race is a construct, man. It's not even real.
Yeah, man. I get you. I feel you.
What's really funny to me, there was a story I heard this week on the radio about how the number of white folks in the census in Virginia has dropped substantially. Not that they are shrinking as a population exactly, but that more people are identifying as multiracial who used to identify as white. So like the number of black folks as a percentage didn't change, and the number of Spanish folks didn't change, and Asian whatever, but the number of white folks went down and the number of multiracial went up. Okay. So people who previously would have called themselves white for whatever their makeup are now calling themselves multiracial. They're more comfortable saying they're multiracial.
Interesting.
And I thought about how we may get to a point where this stops mattering. If like the largest racial group in the United States is multiracial, then there's no largest group. It's just like, yeah, whatever. And then I started to think about it could kind of never matter. It could get to a point where it doesn't matter anymore, but there'll still be racism somehow. Right. Like the whole country will identify as multiracial, but it'll still hate black people. And I'm like, oh man, that's gonna suck.
So they want to be part of the struggle.
Yeah, maybe a lot more people want to identify, and be part of the group. I think it's, white folks have always been not willing to say it out loud, but they all secretly want to be in on all of the fun, cool parts about being black. Like black music instantly co-opted by white people. Black food instantly co-opted. Language, culture instantly. And every time anybody cool invents anything, white people are right there to be like, yeah, we want to do that too. Mm-hmm. But we want to do it our way that's white and not
no seasoning, no flavor.
Yeah. We're like, what is this? Big Mama Thornton? No. Rinse that out. Make it Elvis. Oh, okay. That's better. Anyway, welcome to Chip Chat. Brian's here. Tez is on assignment, which
unexpected assignment.
Unexpected, or maybe he told us. We don't remember.
We got to talk to that news assignment editor. I don't know what he's been doing.
Yeah, that guy sucks. So we don't know where Tez is. He's sort of like a where in the world is Carmen Sandiego thing, except we don't have singers who are going to sing about where Tez could be. But Brian's here, and that's good. So we do have all kinds of things in the show tonight. Trump is attacking Iran again, and elections, and of course, vandals. The vandals. Those vandals. And then we were going to make Tez explain bond yields and why we have to pay attention to them in the most riveting of segments, which we might skip or we might have to talk about because it's becoming super relevant as the country now owes $40 trillion in debt.
I wonder why.
You wonder why, right? It seems to continue to increase. If only we had maybe, I don't know, collected any taxes since 2017, but apparently no. We're just going to not collect taxes. Don't worry, not going to stop anybody from spending, what is it, $70 billion on a war that we didn't need, or trying to give away $2 billion to cop killers. Nah, that's fine. We'll come up with it somehow. So I guess we are going to talk about bond yields, which I must say, riveting radio. There is nothing. Listen, Bloomberg ain't got shit on us. We can be drier than paint. It can be amazing. So yeah, we're gonna do that. Oh, also Comey's in trouble again, kind of, and Columbia House joins Mitch McConnell in the great beyond. Proud of that one.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Brian, do you have a word? He's thinking.
Yes, I got a word.
Okay. All right. I've got a word. We're going to see how this works. So, sit back, grab some
debt.
It's birthday time. You're listening to the best show, the only show, Chip Chat on Beltway Radio and beyond.
Street Bowls.
All right, welcome back to Chip Chat here on Beltway Radio and beyond. I'm your host, Chip. With me is Brian.
Hello, everyone.
Hello, everyone, says Brian.
Yes.
So, Tez is on assignment, and Brian is here, which is great because it's time for the headlines. And as tradition dictates, whoever is in the co-host chair gets to go first. So, Brian, would you like to lead off tonight?
Well, actually, I would, but I feel this person would like to say something first.
I'll eat Mitch McConnell.
Yes. Yeah. Super relevant.
Yes, because our top story tonight, Mitch McConnell is still dead.
Yes. Now, this is funny. Now, let me explain why this is funny. In the beginning of SNL, Chevy Chase did the Weekend Update in 1975. And in 1975, Generalissimo Francisco Franco was still alive and in charge of Spain, but barely. And so he led off every broadcast with, our top story tonight is Generalissimo Francisco Franco is still dead, which he wasn't yet, but that was the whole joke. This now gets to be our joke until such time as it's true, which then it won't be quite as funny, but still very funny. And this is our homage to Senor Chase, as it were. So there you go, Brian. You got to participate in this weird roundabout thing. You feel honored, I'm sure. All right. The United States notched victories 42 and 43 over Iran, winning the war several more times before we went to broadcast.
Okay. That's news to me.
We keep winning. You keep tweeting it. We've won. We've beaten Iran. We're like, yes.
Yes. Prince Harry and Meghan Markle are moving back to Britain, citing Britain's lack of Tez and America's abundance of one.
Yes. We have one Tez. That's one too many for them. They're going back. All right. Trump showed off his new helipad, which will soon be known as where he escaped the hordes for the last time.
Speaking of helicopters, helicopters famously can hover just above the ground, much like Trump's poll numbers.
That is correct. In an appearance this week, Trump called Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer a, quote, Palestinian, which shocked many of the people at Schumer's synagogue.
Speaking of terrorism, ICE arrested a coach in the Padres minor league system, proving that the Dodgers really can buy anything they want.
Yes. That's funny. Locally, Trump continues to try to put his name on the Kennedy Center because if there's one thing Trump voters care about, it's opera.
I can't believe it. It's
opera.
Opera.
Yeah, that's a punchline.
Oprah.
Opera. Did you hear it? Sounds great. Opera.
Yeah. Well, he is the Batman singing, so
that's right. Yeah, Phantom.
Yes. All right. The renovations, speaking of the Kennedy Center, the renovations include golden everything from the from the door hardware all the way to the gold-plated stripper poles.
Yes, it's gonna class up the joint.
Jeez.
Newly appointed artistic director of the Kennedy Center, Kid Rock, briefed reporters outside, stating, "Ball with the ball to bang, diggy, diggy."
All right. It is primary season. Yes, primary season is winding down, though, but not before the race in Florida was decided. It was a crowded field, as the winner is likely to be able to leave Florida.
Yes. One of the perks of being a senator from Florida is getting to leave.
Get out of here.
On the far other side of the country, Mary Peltola of Alaska beat out her next closest challenger, a moose.
Probably Bullwinkle.
Yes.
Ooh,
I don't know, Rock.
Okay. Indiana, sadly, experienced record flooding, which washed away all their records of voting to kill FEMA.
That's true. They did do that. In other weather news, a record-setting El Nino is forming in the Pacific. No telling if it will get hot enough to melt the giant ball of plastic also floating above it.
And tomorrow is Premier League returns, giving the Spurs a chance to barely escape by once again.
Yes. We're beginning a season of watching for Spurs relegation. At what point do we start the relegation panic for Spurs?
I would say I would look in week 5. When it comes to like the NFL, it's always week 5. I never look at the first month of the season, but it's by week 5. That's where you gotta look at what's going on.
If they're still winless or like haven't even managed to draw.
Right. So my main concern is actually I would like to look into the Champions League, because this is the first year for West Ham.
Yeah.
And all those changes they may have to do, and I'm just curious of all the places they have to go, because they haven't been there in years. It's like, what is this? Why we're going to this barn for? What's going on?
West Ham knows how to navigate championship a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, the 3 new friends back up in the top tier, of course, includes Ipswich Town. They were there not too long ago.
Yeah.
And let's see who else. Who else do we get?
Hull
came back. Hull's back, yeah. And Coventry, who haven't been up in 20-something years.
Yeah.
So that's exciting. Hull City they were around fairly recently and all that stuff. So we have our first game against Washington football team London on Saturday. We're playing Palace. So and yeah, so just in case anybody's curious about the opening fixtures, because that's why people tune into this show, of course. Gunners leads off the season naturally as the winners against Coventry, newly promoted Coventry. So the champions get to hoist the cup or show off the cup, I guess, against the newly promoted, soon to be relegated Coventry. And then Hull takes on United. We've got Palace. Forest is up in Leeds. Ipswich goes against Sunderland. The Bees have Spurs. Then on Sunday, Gulls and Villa, and City and the Cherries, and then Magpies and the assholes across the Mersey from us, or still on the same side of the Mersey technically, but fuck those guys. That's
I see Chelsea. You've been hearing about.
And then Monday,
what's going on.
Monday is Fulham and Chelsea.
Oh, Fulham, Chelsea. Well, Chelsea is
Fulham and Chelsea. Yeah,
they got some issues. I don't know what the hell.
Yeah,
their owners he's bailing out a lot, because I know he's part of that ownership group that was with the I believe with the Dodgers. So he's selling out that, and then now this, and it's like a lot of people are asking questions of what the hell's going on here with him, because there's a lot of rumors going around. It's like he owes a lot of people. So
yeah, I think he's broke. I think that's what we're finding out. You know, Chelsea was better off being owned by the Russian mafiosos.
Yeah. So, but we'll see what happens with Chelsea. And mind you, in a couple of years, they're supposed to come back to do the Club World Cup thing. So who knows if they'll have a team by then?
Who knows if there'll be a World Cup?
That's true, because we got
Infantino tried to sell it.
Yeah. Oh God. And that story alone is ridiculous, but that's for another show, another time.
It's another show. But yeah, all right. Well, that was Soccer Chat. Those are the headlines. Well, way to go, Brian. What did you think of the headlines?
Quickly as fast.
I think our writers did pretty well this week.
Oh yeah,
they could have done better, but some of these were bangers. The stripper pole one was particularly good.
Oh yeah, I'm kind of curious of what, for the upcoming drag show, if they approve that one.
Yeah, well, they're gonna close the thing for a little while. I don't know if anybody else saw that, but the NSO announced that they're not going to be at the Kennedy Center this year. They're going to be playing like all over the area, like a refugee orchestra. It's just a great idea. You should have like the National Symphony Orchestra on the run.
On the road.
Yeah, it puts a whole new phrase to the Paul McCartney song "Band on the Run."
Yeah. should be their opening song.
Right, yeah. Okay. Do you want to go do some rundown stuff, or should we hit a break?
We're early, so let's keep it going. We can keep it going.
All right.
I'm still pumped up. So
you're pumped up. All right, let's talk about the rundown. So this is a special rundown edition. This is the Justice edition. Dun, dun, dun. You have to do the sound effect. We don't have the rights to the sound effects.
We don't have that one
ourselves. Dun dun. There you go. So, Brian, you remember when Germany used to be in two pieces?
Yes. I do.
Now, for our young listeners, this is hard to conceive of, but Germany used to be split in half. And in good Germany, West Germany, people had freedom and techno music and cigarettes.
Yes.
And then in East Germany, they had nothing. And they waited in line for years for bread. And then they had this crazy, like, secret police. They were called the Stasi, right? And everybody was always afraid of the Stasi because they would, like, listen in on everybody and people would inform on each other, and you get mad at your neighbor and call the Stasi. You didn't have a phone, but you had to go, like, to the Stasi place, and they'd be like, hey, I saw Hans over there was like looking at me funny. I think he might be an interloper, a secret spy for those West Germans. And then the Stasi would come and just take him. They wouldn't, they would just believe you and be like, yeah, Han's coming with us. And then he'd disappear. Right.
Sadly.
Yeah. So everybody, so if you're our age, right, the idea of the Stasi in particular, or the KGB kind of, you think of it, you're just like, those guys are scary, right? So you don't ever want to be compared to that. That's your baseline. Cut to now. Justice Department plans to dispatch 1,000 monitors to poll sites this fall, probably the largest number under a Republican president, according to top assistant attorney general. Now, poll monitors exist and have always existed, but they have basically, Jimmy Carter was a poll monitor in lots of countries and lots of elections. And in most places, most of the time, when there's a democratic, small d democratic country like the United States or England or France or whatever, sending poll watchers to watch an election, it's because they're worried that there could be some sort of trickery at play.
Yes.
Something nefarious. And so these observers are there to watch to see if anybody's coaching anybody on the ballots, or if they're stuffing boxes, or all that kind of good stuff, right? So nobody's afraid of them. It's fine. This is not that. This is definitely not that. Justice Department routinely sends monitors to polling places to ensure election laws are followed and voter rights are protected. Now that would be normal, right? But in the last little bit, right, normal doesn't apply. So the Civil Rights Division of the Justice Department is run by somebody called Harmeet Dillon. She is a crazy person. And the Assistant Attorney General who leads the Civil Rights Division told Bloomberg News that the deployment of 1,000 poll monitors is, quote, probably going to be a historic number for a Republican administration. She did not say where they would go in an interview that was published on Monday. Now, why do you think Republicans don't usually deploy as many poll watchers as Democrats do?
Because they got better things to do.
No, because because civil rights don't usually matter to Republicans. So they're not.
That was it. Okay.
Yeah, they're not interested in our black folks being turned away from the polls, so they don't bother with it, right? And if you report that it's happening, they're like, we didn't see that. That's crazy. But they've got everything is upside down, right? So when you hear Justice Department Civil Rights Division, I know your mind is like, oh yeah, these are the guys that make sure that disabled kids can go to school. Mm-hmm. No, now they are the people who make sure that able-bodied white kids can go to school and disabled people cannot.
All right.
Yeah. They are recently changed the rules to, I don't want to say prohibit, but stop states from supporting people with disabilities living in their homes and force them back into institutions, as was done back in the 50s. The fun stuff. Yeah, this civil rights, heavy air quotes, division is interested in making sure that the white kids don't get discriminated against in college admissions. Yeah. So welcome to the whitest class at Morehouse you've ever seen. Or something like that. So yeah, this is going to have a bit of a chilling effect. Michigan's primary was this month. The Justice Department sent monitors into 4 Democratic-leaning cities. Just to be clear, Detroit, Hamtramck, Lansing, and East Lansing. Democrats openly worried that the monitors would interfere with the primary, but state officials said they behaved professionally, didn't cause any problems. Yet. Yeah. This was the chilling sentence here. Dillon said that the Justice Department is still figuring out where to send monitors, but she said that they would include, quote, the places where there may be language issues, places where there may have been access to disability rights issues, places where there may be voter fraud issues. Language issues. Wait a minute. That
Okay.
sounds like, well, it's certainly not the language issues in Western New York, right? They're like,
Probably.
yeah, what do those people speak? It's Rochester. Nobody can understand them anyway. Like no, I'm kidding. They like there's no language issues in Montana or the other extremely white states, Idaho. Language
Right.
issues. Yeah. Where is their language issues? New Mexico, California.
Mhm.
Yeah. We know what this is. So that's great. This one, I'm very proud of the headline. Do you want to read it, Brian?
Okay, the headline. Here they call me again.
Yes. Here they call me again. Okay. Let's just set the scene. Jim Comey, he was the FBI director back in the beginning of Trump 1. He's a career DOJ official, was assistant attorney general or deputy attorney general. I don't know what to call it, but he's been a top lawyer for a long time. His daughter went on to become a federal prosecutor and a big deal in the DOJ. Trump had her fired. Sorry.
Hold on.
Difference. He tried to have her killed? Don't know. But of course, when Trump got rid of Comey after Comey set up the Mueller investigation and all of this other stuff, he's basically become this like open critic. And in the most boring sort of Mitt Romney way, where he's like, gee golly, I don't think that was a good idea. And he's just like, yeah, Jim Comey doesn't strike me as like a fun dude to hang out with. He's really into rules. Let's put it that way. You can't be like, hey, Jim, look at these cool fireworks I scored. He's like, well, those are really dangerous, and there's probably a reason that they're illegal. No, it's like, shut up, man. So he's not fun or interesting, right? And a few years ago, after Trump won again, Jim Comey saw on the beach that somebody had assembled in protest seashells in a pattern that was the numbers 86, 47. 86 is restaurant speak for take out, get rid of, cancel, take off the menu. We don't have those ingredients anymore. 86 it, right? So if like you run out of eggs.
Right. Speaking of eggs.
Yeah. You yell out 86 eggs and then they cross no more scrambled eggs on the menu. Like that's just what that means, right? So 8647 obviously means get rid of 47. So he posted this picture, a photo of it, and he was like, hey, look at that. And everybody's like, oh, that's pretty funny. And Trump was like, oh, that's a threat. You're telling everybody to kill me. And everybody's like, nah, man, that's not what that means. And so the Trump people, they went to great lengths to prove that did in fact mean that. And including interviewing Sammy the Bull, of all people, to ask him, have you ever been told to 86 anybody, meaning to kill them? And he was like, what are you talking about? Shut up. And they're like, no, for real. And he goes, no. And then they're like, oh, we're going to talk to this, I don't know, some actor. I think we covered this a few weeks ago. They asked her what that meant because she was in some TV show in 2014 where they used this word one time. And she was like, I don't know what you're talking about. So here you go. The DOJ is trying to prosecute Jim Comey for posting that photo. You may be thinking to yourself, wait a minute, there's a First Amendment. Don't worry. They don't care. Or they don't know how to read it. So here you go. They had already brought this case. I want to be clear about that. Brought it and, well, you'll find out. Prosecutors laid out parts of their controversial case in motions late Tuesday against Jim Comey, who they charged in April with threatening the president by posting a photo on social media with seashells arranged to spell out 8647. Yeah. So Comey, a longtime outspoken foe of the president, quickly removed the post after receiving criticism that the phrase could be used to communicate the threat of violence. The latest prosecution motions were filed in response to arguments made last month by Comey's defense attorneys that a federal judge should dismiss this case because the seashell photo did not constitute a true threat and because the case amounted to an unlawful, vindictive prosecution based on Trump's personal hostility toward the former FBI director. What hostility? What are you talking about? It had already been thrown out because of that. Let's just be clear. Or because of actually on a technicality. Hold on. Prosecutors responded Tuesday that regardless of Trump's feeling towards Comey, that there was no evidence that those who actually filed the charges, the prosecutors in the Eastern District of North Carolina, had acted vindictively. They said that the prosecutor who brought the case did not face pressure to indict Comey and did not discuss the case with Attorney General Todd Blanche until the day before the grand jury proceedings. I don't think so. Quote, Comey's motion falters from the start because he does not even attempt to make the required showing, the motion from prosecutor stating that he does not meaningfully suggest, much less provide evidence that any Eastern District or North Carolina prosecutor acted with animus at all. Legal experts and Democratic lawmakers have sharply criticized the case against Comey as built on flimsy evidence. Given the high legal threshold to charge someone with a threat based on their speech, it should be tough for the Justice Department to win a conviction based on photos of fucking seashells. Comey says the story about how he saw them or whatever. Okay. So this has already been attempted and failed. The motions argued that Comey's background is critical as the judge decides whether the case can move forward. Such context includes, but is not limited to, the heightened threat environment of the backdrop of Comey's eerily on-the-nose novel. Oh, yeah, he wrote a novel, and they said that he did this to try to drum up sales for his book. First, they said it because he was violent and angry at the president, and then that got thrown out. And so then they're like, oh, yeah, he was trying to drum up sales for his book. Such context includes, but is not limited to, the heightened threat environment, the backdrop of Comey's eerily on-the-nose novel, the different common usages of the phrase 8647, the phrase's use as a term of art in the context of organized crime, Comey's professional experience with such crime, the reactions of persons who viewed the post, the reactions of law enforcement officers, including the FBI and Secret Service, and Comey's apparent financial incentive to stir up controversy, end quote. The prosecutors wrote. That's a lot of stuff, man. Talk about trying to throw stuff at the wall and see what sticks. It's like, these are all the things. It's like, okay. Comey was charged by a federal grand jury in April with one count of making threats against the president and another count of transmitting a threat across state lines. That's called posting it on Instagram. Prosecutors investigated the seashell case for a year before they indicted Comey. During that time, Trump repeatedly called for Comey's prosecution. There's that vindictive bit.
Yeah.
The pressure intensified after a previous Justice Department effort to prosecute Comey on allegations that he lied to Congress was thrown out by a federal judge who concluded that the U.S. attorney overseeing the case had been illegally appointed. We covered that. I don't know, man. Sounds pretty vindictive to me.
This guy, either, is there anything else can this one is predictable. It's like you're losing a war, you're losing your mind, you're probably losing your presidency.
I wouldn't call calling Chuck Schumer a Palestinian losing your mind. I would call it having already lost it.
Yeah, well, probably that. But going over to Comey again, it's like, I mean, I never thought of, I don't care about Comey until you bring it back up again. We talked about this, a couple months ago, and mind you, it was like, okay, who's taking this seriously? And it's like, guy just took a picture. and that was it. And you
Well,
figured
and
it's like
now
without
you're
the
reminding
clue?
everybody that you failed to prosecute him the first time.
Right. But
Like people
that's
have
all he
forgotten about
does.
that, and now you're like, oh yeah, just due to our regular ineptitude and incompetence, now we're gonna try again. Wait
Yeah.
till this one fails.
Yes. We have a new guy to prosecute you. He'll get it through. And I was like, really? Willie? Because
Well,
again,
remember that they had to fire a few people to get to somebody who was willing to do it, and she was an insurance lawyer who wasn't appointed properly. And
she hot.
yeah, she was a bit of a smoke show, so I guess that was why Trump likes her. But
Yeah.
smoke show by Trump standards. Let's not say that she can compete out on the open market.
Right.
But speaking of which, have you seen his this weird thing about the what they call her, the human printer?
What?
I think we talked about this briefly a few weeks ago, but there's an aide that works there in the White House. I'm trying to remember her name, but her nickname that everybody is calling her is the human printer.
Okay.
And let's see, I think her name's Harp. Yeah, Natalie Harp. There you go. They call her this because it appears that her main job is to print out favorable news stories about Trump and hand them to him when he's having a fit.
Oh, okay.
And there's other people that have referred to her as Trump's binky. Like when he's having a tantrum, this 30-something blonde lady shows up and hands him a news story where it's complimentary and it calms him the fuck down. But she's apparently the one that was leaving Post-it notes around that said that he's her whole world and he's doing a great job and all of this stuff. It's a wild story.
Yeah. So Melania is really, really not doing her wifely duties.
She so has checked out. Completely does not care. I don't think she has ever cared. But what was interesting is that she was in the catering cart when they had to hide him. So they whisked him away to trade airplanes, and who did they put in the catering cart with him? And it's not the vice president, and it's it's her and I don't know, one other person. It's a weird relationship. It's obviously something creepy, I'm sure. I don't know.
No one knows.
It's weird. It's very weird. Let me see. Who was it in the thing? She's a cancer survivor, apparently. She had bone cancer. And now she doesn't anymore.
Oh.
Cool. Yeah. That's weird.
Very
That's weird. Okay. Moving on. You want to take a break?
I think we can take a break.
All right. We should take a break because then we've got to come back with the regular edition of the rundown, a bunch of other stuff. If we finish the show on time or early, it proves that Tez is the problem. Just saying.
Just saying.
Just saying. All right. We're going to take a break. We'll be right back. You're listening to Chip Chat on Beltway Radio and beyond. Oh, Brian got the bell too.
Yeah, the bell.
The bell.
Stand by, folks. You're experiencing technical difficulties. Please stand by.
Yeah.
Introduce you to my hometown in the wintertime. Head down like the goose feathers stuck into a winter coat. Throw the fluid down on the windshield cause I'm snow blind. Introduce you to my hometown in the wintertime. Head down like the goose feathers stuck into a winter coat. Throw the fluid down on the windshield cause I'm snow blind. Couldn't see where we hit it down. Pointed at the incline, slid down right into the concrete. Yeah, put my knees up, dumping, jumping off of concrete. Yeah, put myself in the different boxes made of concrete. Yeah, got the pipe stuck, right initials in the concrete. Wrote the M-E, then my pipe stuck cause it was cold. At the same hotel in Las Vegas. Fell down and bumped my head just like Flip Motors, the greatest. My memories is like landmines and they heinous. Clicking high purified collaborative playlists. Agonizing over deletions. Flushing evidence, pain is better in secret. Don't tell nobody you missing bites from them peaches. We should have taken more photos that do bad bunnies a genius. In my daydreams, your name's curse word, so I bleeped it. My future self and my past self for the leaflet. Not now, nigga, we beefing. I heard we was my savior. My therapist is real good, and that's why we pay her. She cold. My knees up, dumping, jumping off of concrete. Yeah, pour myself in the different boxes made of concrete. Yeah, got a pipe stuck, right initials in the concrete. Wrote an M-E, then my pipe stuck cause it was cold.
Planning for a wedding, digging out a place setting when a fight broke out. Woke up in a rental center, trying to pick a couch in a sub basement, sifting through blankets, trying to figure out did these pink pants match these green Asics. Staring at myself in a coffee table. Dead winter, pipes pinging, ain't no bird song, only breaks singing. Need to find a couch, fit my whole body. Also host parties in the late evening, be my riding station and a room for meditation. All this agitation, covering negative scenes where I never could find a replacement. Apartment is empty, my wallet is empty, my heart and my head is a spaceship. She even took the space heaters, I'm a mouth breather, so my fear is that nothing remains. Every breath's a reminder of pain. Every step as she's walking away.
All right, welcome back to Chip Chat here on Beltway Radio and Beyond. I am your host, Chip. With me is Brian. Brian, who is that?
Coming well, everyone. That was Open Mike Eagle featuring Hemlock Ernest.
Aha, cool.
Oh, correction. Not Hemlock. Kenny Siegel. That's
Oh, there you go.
I'm sorry. Oh, it did feature Hemlock Ernest. I'm sorry. Yeah. So the title of the song is Unfinished Concrete Initials from the album.
That makes sense. Yeah. Open Mike Eagle is cool.
Yeah. So it was, again, trusting some nice indie music out there. So.
Yeah. Love to hear that. All right. Now we've come to the part of the show. It's called the Rundown, regular edition. And this is where I tell you about some stuff that's going on in the news. If I was a real newsman, it would sound a little something like this.
From Beltway Radio and Beyond in Washington, D.C., I'm Emmy-nominated TV newsman and just bona fide sexual beast, J. Scott Smith. And this is the part of the show where I tell some stuff about well, maybe not me, but somebody else is going to tell some stuff about what's happening in the news. So what's going on in the news, fellas?
Thanks, Jay. Love that. Go check him out. Detroit, Channel 4, every weekend, and probably during the week at this point now, too. He's just the best. Okay.
And he never got a thumbs down from the NABJ.
That's true. And he's going to sneak us in for the next one. So we are journalists. That's the thing that we're going to have to stick to, right? If anybody asks.
I've been there, so it's a nice gig.
Oh, okay. Well, you're a real something. I don't know if you're well, I don't know if you can call your day job journalism exactly, but it is news adjacent, I guess.
Yes. Yeah.
All right. Is news. Yeah, sports is news. All right, so let's talk about here's a few things that you got to know right before this story. Georgia is a state. That's the first thing you need to know. It's right there next to Florida. It wishes it was not. It has been trying to get away from Florida for the longest. They're actually in a 100-year-long water dispute. If you know anything about that, there's a big argument about this river, these rivers that flow from Georgia into Florida, and about whether Georgia's taking too much of the water. So that's a whole nother show. They have two senators in Georgia. One is called Raphael Warnock. He is Dr. Raphael Warnock, I should say. He is a preacher, a minister, and leads the Ebenezer Baptist Church there in Atlanta, which is MLK's old church. And he's a pretty popular guy, and he is not up for re-election. But the other senator from Georgia is a guy called Jon Ossoff, and he is up for re-election, which seems like he's sort of perpetually up for re-election. And there's a reason for that. It's mostly about because he won these special elections and all this other kind of thing. But now he's up for like legit re-election for another 6 years.
Gotta work.
Yeah. It's like, this is now I'm going to be like a real senator, even though he was a senator for 2 years. Then they had a special election. He won that again. So now he's been a senator for 4 years, but in two separate chunks. I mean, contiguous chunks, but you know what I mean. Okay. That's the things you got to know. A reporter named Holmes, who works for CNN, right? She's the chief White House correspondent for CNN, asked Trump at a press event, quote,
I have, hold on. Actually, I have it for you.
We've got the video.
I have the video for you. So
okay.
Stand by. So you can take, drink some tea or, save your voice.
Thank you.
Here we go, ladies and gentlemen.
John Ossoff said you'd rather travel with your aide, Natalie Hart, and build the ballroom than do your job as president. What is your response, John Ossoff?
You mean Pee Wee Herman? Pee Wee Herman lookalike? No, I would much rather do other things. We're building a great facility here. We're fixing a White House that hasn't been taken care of. You can look at this. This room was a disgraceful situation in the Oval Office, and it was let go.
Yeah, Mr. President, just scale back on those.
Quiet. You're very disrespectful in front of this young man. Okay? When you're disrespectful, he understands. Quiet. Who are you with?
I'm with CNN.
Fake news. You're fake news. Loud, boisterous person. You're fake news. Be quiet. Be quiet. Be quiet. You're a fake reporter, and you report fake news. Go ahead.
Yo.
This is what we get with. This is what we have to deal with.
Quiet. You're a fake reporter. Well, she's not a fake reporter. She's writing down what you're saying right now. All right. So there's a lot to unpack there. And that's just the beginning of this. So that interaction takes place. I like that his nickname for Jon Ossoff is Pee Wee Herman. Because he thinks he looks like Pee Wee Herman. I don't know if you have the graphic, if you could show like the two of them side by side, but it's a stretch, maybe, I guess. I mean, he's a skinny Jewish guy, as was Paul Rubens, but I don't think I see the resemblance. Yeah, I'm not seeing it. I don't see it. I mean, he doesn't look like him at all. That's it's not one of Trump's better ones. He's got a lot of zingers. That was not one. It's not great. Okay, so he's like, yeah, Pee Wee Herman, blah blah blah, and then he shushes her. Quiet. He's so mad. He's like spinning out. Quiet. You're not allowed to shush. And who is he? He was with somebody at this event, right?
Mhm.
And he's like, sorry about her. She's just a woman. What does she know? That's kind of like the beginning, right? But then it turned crazy. It turned even crazier. So they have this rapid response Twitter whose job is to like respond to whatever happens, right? And to call people names. So Trump answered Holmes's questions with an insult to John Ossoff, who he called Pee Wee Herman lookalike. And then the White House rapid response account on Twitter took up the altercation, posting a video of the clip exchange and assailing Holmes as a disgraceful, humiliating embarrassment to her alleged profession, which I think is hilarious. Alleged profession. What is it? These guys can't hear themselves, can they? There's just no way. They sound ridiculous.
Sound
or whatever, they write ridiculous. It's ridiculous. I mean, they look like wild and stupid and angry just out of nowhere.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah. Okay. In a follow-up tweet, the account dipped into a more personal line of attack. Here's this line. You ready? Quote, someday your children will come across your disgusting and inhumane question.
Jesus.
They wrote, they will be sickened and embarrassed to have a parent be so callous and vindictive. It's quite troubling. Cool.
Oh, God.
I mean, I don't think her problem is that her kids are going to find out that, like, she asked the Trump a question about John Ossoff. I do think that, like, Stephen Miller's kids are going to have to grow up being Stephen Miller's kids.
True.
And, like, Steve Chung's kids are probably already grown, but they're like, oh, God. And, JD Vance has kids. Can you believe that? Like, they're going to have to.
Are they pillows or
I believe two of them are like the armrests, and then
okay.
the other two came out as pillows. Yes.
Okay, I get it. Okay.
It depends, whether they get their mother's eyes or his with the eyeliner.
Right.
So I mean, like, the record isn't good about extremist politicians and their kids turning out to be like okay with their behavior. It generally goes the other way. Like, I don't know if you've ever seen the ads for atheism. I don't know exactly what they're advertising for, but they're like anti-religion in government, right?
Okay.
You know who does these ads?
Who?
Ron Reagan, the son of Ronald Reagan.
Yeah. Okay.
It's like they're sitting on a chair. He's like, I'm Ron Reagan, and he looks like him, and he sounds like him, and he's like,
I haven't seen him lately, but yeah. Okay.
Yeah, he's like, I'm here to tell you, atheism is a perfectly legitimate option, and everybody else should shut up, or something like that. But it doesn't go well. It just doesn't go well at all. There's a rule in politics. You don't go after kids. You don't go after families. I think that's fair. But Barron's 20, so he has to go through life being Trump's son. Look at what it did to Eric. Look at that guy.
He left Eric high and dry.
Man, look at that guy. What he had to grow up like being the son of Donald fucking Trump. And look at what it did to him. Look at what it did to DJ TJ. Look at why Tiffany doesn't want to talk to anybody. Like, what are we talking about here? Cool, man. Cool. Fake news, CNN. You're fake news. You're loud, boisterous person. You're fake news. Be quiet. Be quiet. You're a fake reporter. You report fake news. Is this fake news? We just saw it happen.
I don't know where. I mean, again, it's like it's all acting. He's an actor, a wannabe actor, and this is the only catchphrase he knows. And
Quiet,
Yeah.
piggy.
yeah, so and again, he riles up his base by saying doing that, and really it's just like, dude, she just asked a simple question and she wants a proper reply, and you're never gonna get it. And this is his response. Okay, fine.
You ever be in a group of people and like somebody gets mad, right? And they may feel like legitimately aggrieved, right? If you're looking at the world from their perspective, they are pissed off and somebody definitely wronged them.
Right.
But they lose their cool and they yell.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody in the group instantly looks, and the mood and attitude towards that person shifts drastically.
Right.
Nobody goes, yeah, you were right to go after that fucking guy. No. Every time everybody looks at like, hey man, that was a little weird. Like,
I mean, let's take it back. When he was in Wisconsin and that interview with the NBC reporter.
Oh yeah, with Welker. Yeah.
Yeah, it was exact same thing. And again, mind you, we all know that his prime targets for when he acts out is women.
Yeah.
And it's just like, look, it's like these are legit questions. They just want legit answers, and you don't have any. And so you fluster out, you go ape shit, and it is like, again, it's like, yeah, you tell them that's how these dumb Magamites are. They like that crap. And it's like, what? You're getting non-answers from serious journalism, from serious journalists, to trying to get some proper answers for you. And you like the fact that he tells him that tells him to shut up, and he goes batty, and and it's like, I'm out of here. You shut up. You don't talk. And it's like, again, we've been saying this for years. He's a fucking 5-year-old. That's what he is.
Yeah,
big,
but
fat,
that's a good way to put it. Like, he flips out instead of it's. I don't know. I'm surprised that anybody sees the way that he handles that and goes, yeah, that was cool. I mean,
there's people who will tell him. I mean, that's why he's got yes men around him. So if people say it's like, I mean, trust and believe, let's say it this way. If once he's out of office or dead, and you have most of the people in his cabinet, they'll probably tell the full story of how he really is, and how all that stuff. But
they're all going to write books.
Yeah, they're all going to write books and all that stuff. Mind you, remember, a lot of people from the first term were writing books, and it's like, it probably hasn't changed. People would say, oh, I've seen this. I read this part before, because so-and-so said it in their book.
Didn't we already read this in John Kelly's book?
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's nothing new.
I think it's kind of funny that, like, the contrast, right? So when Abdul El Sayed, he won in Michigan, right? So he's the Democratic nominee there, and he was walking with the reporters, and one of them asks him this question, and they say to him, Trump says you're full of shit, right? He says, excuse my language, but this is what the president said. He said, you're full of shit, right? And he didn't like flip out and say like, dude, that guy is such you're fake news or whatever. You know what he did? He calmly said, at least I don't blow it out in the Oval Office in front of everybody. And then he just kept walking. Like, that's cool. People watch that and they go, all right, that guy's funny and he's cool and he didn't get rattled and he handled it well and he like mic dropped him.
Right.
There are right-wing politicians who are good at that too. I'm not saying that's like exclusive to the left.
Right.
But he didn't turn around and scream and like, and that would look bad. That would look unhinged and crazy and like unsettling. It's very strange. People who yell, they don't win a lot of friends. There's like good yelling, and then there's like, okay, guy, whoa, that's not what we're doing here, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
When there's a bad call at the plate and the manager comes out screaming at the ump and he's like, good yelling, right? All for that. Yeah, you tell him. Don't take that shit. Go kick dirt on his plate and tell him he's, whatever. It's a bit of a show, but it's a thing, right? And we're all in on it. It's cool. That's fine. But like, you ever see, who was it that like yelled at one of his teammates or something like that? Oh, like LeBron. LeBron, like, remember when LeBron like looked at his teammates because they
Oh yeah, the picture where he's pointing at him. Yeah.
Yeah, he had just even a gesture. He didn't even yell. He just looked at him with his hands up and he was like, "What are you doing, guy?" And everybody was like, "Yo!" And this is LeBron. Everybody likes LeBron. Everybody was like, "Yo, LeBron, what are you doing, guy? Like, that's not what we do. We don't call people out like that. That's a quiet thing we do. Carefully. You don't you look unhinged." And Trump's like, quiet. Quiet.
But the thing is, here's the thing though. It's like, it's uncommon for someone like LeBron because you don't expect that. But then again, his competitive nature, kind of warrants that.
But you expect him to be cool.
Right. You
like
expect
under control, maintain composure.
Right. So, but seeing him go off a little, it's a high rarity. And you figured it's like, whoa, okay, he's really upset. You expect that, yeah, he's really upset.
Right.
But with Trump, when he does this, it's like, oh, this is where he blows off. Oh, okay. Because a lot of people they don't watch his interviews live, and they love the tape delay. And they figure it's like, oh, this is where he goes off again. Okay. This is why he's upset.
Off by that comment, though.
Again, because everyone,
it's like a really minimal thing.
It's a minimal thing, but the thing is, it's like, we're going after, the reporters are going after him to ask the questions of, hey, do you know what's really going on in your administration? And the answer is, and based off the way he tirades and all that stuff, it's a full on no. He does not know what he's going on. He does not know what he's doing. And we know this since the first time he was in there.
Well, he doesn't seem to possess the sort of reflex to handle that in a calm way. I mean, like, given that same question, let me read the quote back. John Ossoff said you'd rather travel with your aide Natalie Harp and build the ballroom than do your job as president. What's your response?
All right.
And he could have said, I don't have a response for that. Or he could have said, no comment. Or he could have said, nobody cares what John Ossoff thinks.
All right.
He could have just said that.
Right. But he starts with, Mr. Pee Wee Herman, and then goes off and try to chew her out.
Yeah, like it's
that's again to him. Again, that is the tactic of a person who, for whatever reason, believes the fact that, one, again, like I said, his main targets when he chews out these reporters has always been the female reporters, always has been. And the way I see it is like he has no answer. And I felt like, okay, if you want to act like a 5-year-old, fine. Show the world. You keep saying fake news, but it's like, dude, we're seeing it in real time. There's no AI involved here. There's no, any of this stuff. It is you spewing out BS again and getting upset over a woman reporter asking you a solid question that you have no answer for. Like you said, you could have just said no comment, or it's like, I have other things. I do have other things to worry about, blah, blah, blah. So you say, but no.
Like, I get insulted at work sometimes. People say like, oh, did you hear this person said this about you or whatever? Somebody told me the other day, not the other day, it was like weeks ago. They were relaying a conversation they had with somebody else. And they go, the problem with you is you haven't fired anybody yet. And you know what, as a criticism, right? And what did I do? I laughed. I was like, ha, okay, well, next. Like, sure, whatever. It's a wild thing to be upset about. It is a crazy thing to get upset about. Somebody asking you, you can just be like, yeah, it's fine. He can say whatever he wants. Don't care. You just look crazy. Speaking of looking crazy, This story is a bad story, but it's not really that I want to talk about. So we're going to go through this story very briefly so that we have the information, and then we're going to talk about, the implications, right, on the flip side of this. The U.S. Navy destroyer experienced a complete loss of power while deployed in the South China Sea last month, leaving sailors without drinkable water, meals, running toilets, or air conditioning for 4 days. The USS Benfold was sailing with the George Washington Carrier Strike Group on 24 July when an, quote, engineering casualty involving its generators, end quote, caused a complete loss of power aboard the ship, a U.S. 7th Fleet spokesperson said in a statement. The Navy did not immediately address questions as to why it did not disclose the incident until now. I mean, I can tell you why. It's not great. Doesn't look good. It's not good for national security to let the Chinese know that we have ships that lose power off their coast. But, the ship's power outage is another setback for the Navy. Here's the bit, right? Which has come under considerable strain during the Trump administration's military campaigns in Latin America and the Middle East. Both operations have required U.S. commanders to extend some warships past the planned length of their deployments and maintenance schedules. Pin in that for later. Other ships traveling in the Carrier Strike Group, including the cruiser USS Robert Smalls, helped provide meals to the Benfold as the ship was towed into port in the Philippines. Once there, the crew was provided contracted housing and meals off the ship. There were no injuries to the crew, who demonstrated resilience, grit, professionalism, and unwavering steadiness. Power was restored to the ship on 30 July, and it resumed operations a week later. The Navy said it is not clear if the Benfold remains with the Washington Strike Group or sailed back to its home port in Japan. So I was actually talking to a sailor today who had been in the Navy. He did 20 years and had been all over the world, and asked him about this. He was aghast. He said, this never happens. This just doesn't happen. Ships lose like rudder control or steering control, and they're a little adrift, but to be complete loss of power is a major catastrophe. And these ships have backup upon backup upon backup. So something has to go seriously wrong. And right there, you see it, extending these things past their maintenance schedules. I'm somebody who lives in a world of maintenance, right? My job is to maintain equipment. And sure, you can go past the recommended schedule point, sometimes for quite some time in an adverse condition, if you are required to do it, like something's going on, right? You can't get to it. There's too much in the way. There's snow, there's whatever. Okay, fine.
Right.
But you don't want to let it go that long that something major happens. Right. Imagine like blowing up your engine because you didn't do an oil change for 20,000 miles or something like that. It's a major, major failure. In any other administration, Democrat or Republican, a story like this, coupled with the story on the Lincoln where the sailors are jumping overboard and running out of food and all this stuff, where they've been on this deployment for 9 months, this would be a conversation about how the president is not supporting the service, how he is endangering these service members by putting them in these adverse conditions, by overextending the resources without providing a plan or backup or anything like that.
Right.
The story goes pretty simply. Trump started a lot of shit without checking to see if he had the capability to do it.
Right.
They fired a lot of the top brass who would have been able to say, hey, you can't do this, or at least would have been able to devise a plan that would have alleviated some of the stress on the carriers, on the ships, and on the sailors. They hollowed out the delivery systems of all of the support that goes along to extended naval deployments, whether that's all the government contracts that got canceled through Doge, whether that's all the relationships with other countries that were obliterated by getting rid of USAID and all of the other bluster and weird tariffs and shit on penguins or whatever. You know, the Navy depends on having friendly ports to pull into for rest and for maintenance and to fix stuff. If you don't have any friends, it's pretty difficult to keep up a Navy. Just ask the Brits, you know, like it's a thing. So this, I mean, in any other situation, remember when it turned out that there were like, I don't know, the troops in deployed into Bosnia had not gotten jackets or something like that, and the way they dragged Clinton for that, and they were like, oh, he hates the military or whatever, or the way that the criticisms about the way that Vietnam soldiers and veterans were not cared for, you know, after that war,
right?
You know, the whole Bruce Springsteen song about it and stuff, the failures of the Carter and Reagan administrations really in taking care of these veterans. That's a thing that this country is fairly sensitive to. This would be that story right now, but for the fact that everything else that's even worse is eclipsing it.
Yeah.
Imagine if this had happened under Biden. It would have been round the clock coverage of the ship.
Well, especially on Fox News. Yes, it would be
on Fox News. There would have been round the clock coverage of a Biden left these sailors adrift in the South China Sea to die.
Right. That would be the headline right there.
Yeah. That'd be the chyron right along the bottom. Biden attempts to kill sailors by stranding them in the South China Sea.
Right.
Or something like that. And here it's a blip. I had to find this deep. You know, I happen to be interested in this kind of thing, so I was looking at it someplace else, and then I found the full news story about it. That's a blip. You had the Ford had breakdowns on the toilets. That didn't work. Right? That was pretty bad. They've got the Lincoln that's in trouble. They had the deployment off the coast of Venezuela where the guys were just sitting there for like months waiting to see what was going to happen. You can't treat the Navy like that. It's not your toy boats. It's not, you're not playing in your gold bathtub or whatever, man.
Well, that's how he sees it. That's how he probably, you know, planned everything out, you know, at the straight. You know,
he wants to remember we talked about it. He wants to change where the island is on the carrier. He's has the Navy spending money to research making the ships look different because he likes the way they looked in the war that happened before he was born. What are we talking about?
Again,
why are we doing this?
I'll tell you why. Because again, there are a whole bunch of people who lack education, understanding, and empathy. And he gave it to a guy who has all that. No education, no empathy, no nothing. And the key thing here is smarts. And it initially, the funny thing is like when I was pre-reading, getting the graphics for the show and seeing it, because I figured it's like I thought you'd be talking more about the Lincoln, but seeing the fact there was another ship in trouble and also been deployed for almost a year, and with no shore leave, and it just, to me, it's like, are you freaking kidding me? And as much as I don't know if you or Tez, our news editor did mention the fact where he is. He's somewhere in South China Sea. But he mentioned the fact that you have I don't know if you've seen these Department of War videos. And
they're hilarious.
Well, why do you say hilarious?
They don't mean them to be hilarious. I just want to be clear about that.
Just that tone, the music, the vibe. Obviously, it's like, this is how you can recruit people, and to join the military, be like this, thinking it's like some all out action war movie. I mean, it's like I just like, hell no. I remember the days of, be all you can be. It's not just a job, it's an adventure.
Right.
You the proud. I mean, those were not only inspiring, they were just interesting enough to watch, even for 30 seconds or a minute. But now when you have with this administration, it has no, just it is like I would have had that same reporter ask us like, oh, what your viewpoint about the Lincoln and all the other Navy ships are having issues, and he'll probably freak out then, because knowing full well it's an embarrassment. It is a true embarrassment.
The other thing that I Brian, a lot of service members, right?
Enough, yeah.
Enough. I know a fair number of them. Ask any of them if they enjoy action.
I trust to believe they say no.
Right. None of them want that.
Yeah.
You want to hope that you never see any real action.
Yes.
You hope that you're safe, that you spend all of your time, running drills and cleaning the treads on your tanks in the motor pool or whatever. You don't want action. Action could get you killed.
I knew while I was overseas, especially during the first Gulf War, when I was in Zimbabwe, and I knew I was really tight knit with some of the Marines there. When they got heard that they were going to deploy out there, and it was like most of those Marines were like, oh shit. That's what they were when things were happening and very high heated. They were fearful of like, oh, we may have to go out there. And unfortunately, someone did go, once their assignment, at the embassy was, over, or they had to be transferred out, but they were fearful. But the thing is here is like, I mean, the long deployments, something like this, and especially something that's surprising, where it's like, oh, the president, he wants to fight Iran, and everybody's like, what? And it's, again, there's no plan for this, none of it. And especially when you got ships who, if you calculate it, it's been now what, 4 or 5 months, since going over there. And
February 28th, so it's 6 months.
6 months now. And so you think about this. So you had the Lincoln already out there, who is pretty much, you would say, scheduled to come back and for maintenance work. Yes. No, they're still out there because you ordered them to, for a fight they were not fully prepared for. So
and
it's
they're
kind of like
incoming all the time,
right.
Like all the time.
So again, he's not a commander in chief. He's a bully who figures like, you do this for me, and that is it. And it just adds on to the fact of the things he say and how it reacts to everything surrounding us. It is crazy, because I don't know if you saw the press conference about where he had issues with some of the Navy, of our Navy helping out, or better yet, in addition to helping out the South Koreans.
Yeah, and he's mad about that we're doing these drills with the South Koreans that we have always done for 60 years or whatever.
Yes.
Yeah.
And as in addition to, especially you again, because you are friends with their North Korean leader, you sit there and stating the fact it's like, well, we're going to probably end this. And and again, add to the fact it's like, well, since the South Koreans don't want to help us with Iran, we'll need to end this. And it's like, dude, that again, childish.
What message does that send to the 40,000 American service members who are over there, who are the front line against the North Koreans, that their president is like, this training is bullshit. We don't care about this. This isn't the war we want to fight. Those guys are sitting ducks.
Right. You pretty much you left them high and dry. As much as you've gone to, again, you probably the last 2 times, your first term, and even now you go to the Army and Navy, or mainly it was the Army, graduation ceremony. You give a long blowhard speech and how it's say you're the best fighting machine out there, and you don't shake hands with any of them because you ditched out because you want to feed yourself with a whole bunch of hamburgers and KFC. So, and I just feel like this is these guys, these future, military, generals, colonels, those, future officers are looking at you trying to be in quote unquote inspired, and they're not, because you don't inspire them. You fully, because you don't care about them.
Well,
So
and it's a
them,
different
you're
world too.
just
Those
you're
those
just
guys on
pawns.
the Lincoln, they're not
Mhm.
cut off from the world, right? They were calling home and
Yeah.
saying, "Hey, we're running out of food, man." And the families of those sailors are the ones who are beating down the door of the Navy secretary and of their Congress people saying, "Hey, yo, my daughter is stuck on this ship and hasn't had like a meal. She's eating like
But
her-
Pete Katz will probably say it is like, she's not a real sailor, because she's a woman.
Well,
You know,
right.
that's-
Okay. Then so like my son is stuck on this ship. Like they did ask Hegseth about the Lincoln, and he goes, the stories about that are untrue. And
Right,
that's
that's
not
the
the
thing.
case. That is very much not the case.
Yeah.
They are out of food. There is a serious
there are
crisis there.
issues. There are issues. Again, these guys have not, and will not understand the life of a military person. Mind you, and there will be people who probably tell me, it's like, well, if you ask me the question, I've been in the military, no. My dad has. And I respect that. Like I said, have been associated myself with several other military people. I understand the idea of what they went through from their boot training to be deployed in whatever official assignment they are given.
Sure.
I understand all that stuff. Trust and believe, but keep this in mind. If they have, they're married or dating somebody, all this stuff, they're associated with that. It's connection. So if they're suffering, the family's suffering. And that's
right.
the thing that they don't understand.
And their parents and everybody else, like it's not a vacuum. All these people have families, and they're on the ship. They can get the news.
Yes,
they can see that the ports in the Middle East, the reason they haven't pulled into any of them is because it's not safe.
No.
If the carrier is in one of those ports in Bahrain or in Saudi or whatever, they're not set up to take those ships anymore because they've either been blown up or they won't allow them in for fear that they will get blown up by hosting them. They know that. So they know that they're out there alone. They know that they haven't seen fresh food in however long. They know that the president is dismissing their calls for assistance and saying that it's not actually happening. They know all of those things. They have CNN on the ship. And it's not fake news. And so then, like, how are they supposed to then prosecute a war knowing all of that, knowing that every incoming that they shoot down with their defenses or that they watch go over to be, to land somewhere on the shore or on land, wherever, they see all those going over. And every time they look at them, they go, oh man, that could have been me. Or like, oh shit, it's coming after me. And they all thinking the same thing. What the fuck are we doing out here?
Right.
I don't seem to be making any progress. Been out here for 9 goddamn months and ain't seen shit get better. No. Run out of food, run out of fuel, run out of everything else. We're just sitting here taking fire and surviving for what? So this guy can build his goddamn ballroom? So this guy can put his name on the fucking Kennedy Center? So this guy can hold an IndyCar race on the streets of the District of Columbia? Why are we out here? That's a great question.
Yeah, and to fully think about this, it's like when they come home, and I'm gonna give a positive aspect of it. When they come home, full well that president will not be, on the harbor side waiting to shake those guys' hands. No. He will not be there because honestly, it's like he didn't care then. He doesn't care now because you put him in a situation. Like you said, it's like you can't go in these safe ports because, like you said, they're being bombed, in the area that you wanted to have a fight for no reason. And even though they're not stranded, in a way they kind of are. Because again, the situation you created, without proper strategic planning, these guys are suffering. And I can understand when most of those sailors wanting to jump ship, you know, a lot of paranoia kicks in because it's like they can't take it anymore. Because it's like, mind you, you have that quote unquote band of brothers situation scenario of being on a ship for so long. But the thing is like when it's almost a year, or even for to some other service member, it's tough, and it's just not respectable to put them in that situations.
And the support isn't there. When my grandfather was on these ships on his way to Japan, there was this kind of duration of deployment, but it was clear that they were on their way to go do something important.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody believed in it. There's no way. I mean, these guys, they can see with their own two eyes that there's no progress being made. Fortunately, the Lincoln's on its way out of there, back to port. But
again, all you did was replace one piece for another. So
right.
Again,
and now you got the Washingtons out there to go be on some long duration deployment too. It's again, you can't treat these things like it's a toy.
Right.
You have to think it through, and they clearly didn't. They clearly don't seem to be learning anything from this, so they're stuck repeating the same problem.
That's why. Let me say that. Sorry. I mean, mind you, I was, not born during Vietnam, but I can understand a lot of, mind you, if we've seen a lot of like Full Metal Jacket or Platoon and all that stuff, I understood why Vietnam was a no-win situation.
Right.
Because you went there, and I really believe it's like, I know you're trying to defeat whatever this quote-unquote communism you have fear for. It's just an ideology. But you figure it's like, okay, we can't have it here in the South Pacific. Okay, why not? And so everyone was questioning. Again, it kind of has that similarity. It's like you're sending people, younger people, over to an area that they presumably barely know what's going on, and for what? And the key thing here is you already had a fight prior to that, Korea. So you immediately go right down to Vietnam because of the same situation. And again, it's like, what is this for? Mind you, here they'll tell us, because they'll give you some stupid excuse of saying the fact that it's like, because they're going to hurt our government, they're going to hurt our ideology, blah, 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 blah. And that's the same thing what Trump is saying. It's like, they got weapons and all that stuff. And it's just whatever, they feel like they want to freak us out over. But in the end, you're sending over a whole bunch of young people, and even those who have been vets, 10 or 20 plus years over there, poorly planned, poor decisions. And in the end, what you get out of this, dead bodies. And that's it.
Yeah, it doesn't seem to be making any progress whatsoever. That's why, that we've won this war 43 times. I mean, he keeps saying it. He has kicked this hornet's nest so hard.
Right.
And there's just no way to put everything back. Yeah. And he has irreparably damaged the world system.
Right. Why? I understand why South Korea, you sit there and be like that, try to be wannabe, soprano or whatever, staying in fact, it's like, well, you ain't joining my army, you ain't getting this. And it's like, dude, why do I want to be a part of a fight that I never caused? And yeah, because Iranians are like, it's like, hey, we're good, we're still good. And it's like, of course they're gonna let their oil, slide on through, because they're not stupid. Because it's like, this is a stupid ideology.
We're going to be several hundred years from now still having some sort of trouble moving things through the Straits of Hormuz. And it's all going to go back to this. That for 1,000 years, there was free flowing navigation through this point.
Yeah.
And at one moment, February 28th of 2026, one person decided to do something that would change that waterway for 1,000 years.
Right. Because
The Iranians now will never, ever let go of that. They will never allow the free flow of navigation through that point ever again. Why should they? They had the strategic advantage. They have always had that strategic advantage of that thing. They have been effectively convinced to not fuck with it over the whole time that regime has been in charge for 50 years.
Yeah.
Because of the threat of retaliation. If they close the strait, something bad would happen to them. Now the bad thing happened without them doing anything to provoke it.
Right.
Why would they ever play ball again?
Let's put it this way. Again, Trump did this. This is, mind you, he got success because he wanted to do this the first term. Doing it, I don't know. He figures, like, again, in addition to having backing with Israel, his boy Bibi. But again, it's the whole ideology of this makes no freaking sense. And I think, for the Iranians,
legacy is going to be that the Straits of Hormuz are no longer navigable. That's going to be the thing.
There's a laundry list. There is a laundry list.
No, I know, but like when people say, like, all right, what did Eisenhower do? He liberated Europe, right? D-Day, bam, Eisenhower, bam. That's that's going to live.
One thing, that number one thing.
It's going to be there for 1,000 years. People are going to remember Ike, D-Day, bam. Right. That's what they're going to know, right? And Nixon, Watergate. Those are the two things they're never going to, Bill Jeff and blue dress. Like, those things are never going to not be linked together. Trump, with all of the stuff, twice impeached, January 6th, God knows what else, Epstein, 1,000 years from now, when those things have fizzled and American democracy no longer operates, the Strait of Hormuz will still be unnavigable by the navies and merchant marine of the world because of Donald J. Trump. True. And people are going to remember that the Strait of Hormuz, the most critical choke point for the free flow of petroleum and fertilizer through the water of this world, is closed because of Donald Trump. It is a, Bush and Iraq, those are inseparable words. Trump and Hormuz are now inseparable words. For what?
Well, for Trump, you can sit there and
stuck.
And again, when you have yes men, not advisors, you don't listen to your advisors. You either got rid of them or you don't listen to them. And you have a whole bunch of yes men thinking it's like this is the greatest thing in the planet, even though your telephones are never connected. I just feel like, this is what America wanted. This is what, again, the 70, he keeps saying he wanted 11,000 more votes, and it's like, or 13,000, whatever number he wanted more of. It's like, we wanted more of this.
11,781.
But still, we wanted more of this. We want more of a spoiled 80-year 5-year-old.
Here's this incredible quote. Alan Iyer, a former diplomat who served in the U.S. negotiating team that secured the 2015 Iran nuclear deal, compared the Trump administration's actions currently to that of, quote, a thrashing mastodon slowly sinking into a tar pit during the Ice Age.
Perfect. Because he kind of looks like that.
Yeah. That's a great way to describe this.
Yes.
All right, let's move on.
Please.
Because why not? Let's get on to the most interesting part of the show, which is we want to talk about bond yields.
Because we're all going broke.
Yeah. All right, let's kind of set this up a little bit. A U.S. Treasury bond is when it's a 30. There's several kinds of them, but the standard one is the 30-year bond. And the way that this works is you buy a bond from the government, which is loaning the government your money, right? You're going to buy this bond for say $1,000, and in 30 years you're going to be able to cash it in and get paid $1,200. You're going to make a little bit of money on it,
Right.
and this is how the federal government, all countries, borrow money. They issue these bonds with the intention that they're going to pay them back later. And there's a lot of factors that go into this. But when you buy the bond, you're buying it knowing what it's going to yield at the end. You know what the value of it is going to be at the end of the 30-year term of the bond. And that yield has to be sufficiently high enough that you want to buy this thing in the first place, right? If I'm selling you bonds for $1,000 that are in 30 years going to pay you back $1,000 plus $10, you're like, well, that's fucking worthless.
Right.
And so I got to be like, all right, well, how about if it pays you back $100 in addition? You're like, it's still not really worth it. All right, $200.
Okay.
You know, and if I say, okay, I'll sell you this thing and it's going to be, you know, it'll yield $200 in 30 years. You may, all right, you know what? That's a good deal. I'll take it. Buy the bond. Now, if I told you it's going to yield you $200 in the future and you go, but inflation is going to eat that, right? So that $1,200 is going to be worth less than $1,000 is now. You're not going to take that deal, are you?
No.
So I'm trying to convince you to loan me this $1,000 that I'm going to pay you back something of value at the end of it. All right, $1,200 isn't good enough. How about $1,300? Will you take it then?
No.
Okay, $1,400.
Still no.
Okay. Now, while I'm out here offering you this, clearly it's costing me more and more and more to when you finally take it at $1,500, right? Okay, you're going to make 50% interest.
Right.
It's going to be fantastic. I'm not doing this alone. There's other people competing to borrow your money. You know? So I'm saying, hey, Brian, I'm going to give you 50%, right? And Tez is over here going, I'll give you 60%. Okay? And like the 420 guys are over here saying, I'll give you 65%. Where are you going to put your money?
Oh, it's the highest offer.
You're going to take the best offer, right? Now, let's say in those three choices, the 420 guys are riskier, right? They're offering you 65%, but the reason they have to offer you that high is because they might smoke it and forget to do it.
Okay.
They might. I'm just saying. Okay. Tez has to offer you 60% because he's unreliable and he knows that he may not actually do any work to earn the money to get you this to pay you back. So like, yeah, he's giving you a better rate, but it's like, well, yeah, he's got to give you a better rate because he might not be good for it. And I'm over here, steady Eddie, churning out a show every week, making the same things, you know, and it's like, yeah, the rate's not as good, but it's secure. So you look at those three choices and you go, you know what? I'm going to give it to Chip. I'm going to give him the money. I'm going to loan him that money and he's going to pay me back at 50%. That is the competitive bond market. The United States has this big advantage that our bonds are almost a guaranteed sure thing. Nobody thinks that the U.S. is going to renege on their bond. They're sure they're going to get paid. So they will accept a lower rate for it than, say, a bond issued by a shakier country like, I don't know, Brazil or, you know, pick a shaky but not completely destitute country, right? Greece, you know.
Definitely not.
Yeah. So like if you compare, say, the US and Greece, right? Greece just went through several financial crises. Their economy is not as strong as ours. People are like, yeah, you know, I could loan Greece some money, but they're going to have to really make it worth my while because I don't fucking trust them. But they look at the Americans, they go, you know what? The Americans are always good for it. I don't need that much of a return because I know I'm going to get my money back. It's a safe bet. So we have that advantage as the United States. But the worse off our economy gets, and the worse off our debt ratio gets, and the worse off our government gets, and the crazier things get, the more skittish those investors get.
Right.
So they demand a higher rate. And the bond becomes more expensive for us, the American government, to issue. We have to give a higher rate to get those investors. We have to offer a better yield. When we have to offer a better yield, everybody else that is competing for those same investor dollars has to raise their yields too. Right? Why would you buy a 30-year corporate bond if it's only going to give you 2% when the federal bond is going to give you 50%?
Right.
You'd never do that. So now those corporate bonds they got to go up. A lot of those things are tied to things like mortgage rates,
Right.
or car loan rates, or any of the other kinds of debt that get issued. All of that depends on investors willing to loan the money. And if the low ball guy, being the federal bond, goes up, all the other stuff goes up. Because they all got to be a little bit more, or they won't be able to attract any of those investors. If they're below the bond, they'll never get anything. If they're right at the bond, they won't get it either, because the bond is safer than their investments. So they got to be worth a little bit more to the investors. You see how that works?
Yeah.
So when the bond yield goes up, borrowing prices for everything goes up. Everything. Houses, credit cards, everything. Everything goes up because of this number. The reason this number is going up is because the United States owes $40 trillion in debt, and it does not appear. It does not appear that we have it doesn't appear that we have a way out of this. There's not a plan. There, like, now normally you're like, man, I owe a lot of money. What, Brian, when you got a lot of bills to pay off, what do?
I try to pay a little at a time as best as I can.
But you might cut back on some stuff.
Try to, yeah.
Yeah, you try to cut back on some things. And if you can, you go out and try to earn a little bit more money. Right? You'd be like, man, I need to get some extra cash. Let me go see if I can get another shift at work or something like that. Right?
Right. But
Pick up 2 or 3 more games or something.
Yeah,
I don't know.
But there's problems with that, but go ahead.
Okay. So in the case of the government, when they're short of money, they can do that same thing. They have to do that same thing. They either need to deliver less in services, right? Or they need to go collect more revenue, which in this case we would call that taxes. So at the same time that the government is owing $40 trillion, the Trump administration and the Republicans in Congress extended the tax giveaways to the billionaires from 2017 indefinitely. So they cut off their revenue stream. They didn't lower the delivery of services. They actually increased the spending on those services, if you count, like, say, the war as one of those services.
Right.
And they have nowhere to go. The cost of the debt service, what the federal government pays in interest to people who are already loaned money to us, is their second largest expense on the books. It's more than they spend on defense. The only thing higher than that is Social Security. So we are paying more in interest to people who are already holding U.S. bonds than we are spending on the Pentagon. That should worry people.
Hey, did you get your freedom check yet?
No.
Okay. I just want to be sure.
And let me then throw another little piece on this, right? The Treasury Secretary, Scott Bessent, who famously likes to get in fistfights with other Trump officials at whatever the fuck club down there in Georgetown, he's got a plan. He's going to fix this.
Oh, wow. I love to hear this one.
He's going to buy back some of these bonds. Now, the reason he knows this is going to work is because they just bought a bunch of Argentinian bonds for $20 billion with our money. And then they bought a bunch of Japanese bonds, $31 billion or whatever, to try to prop up their currency. If the federal government buys the bonds, then the price of the yield can go down because the competition is working the other direction, right? Now you got this other big investor out there, the federal government. You got all these other investors out here. The federal government's like, no, I'm buying all these bonds up. Okay. Well, that makes the bonds a little more attractive, which pushes the rate down because people want them. And that's all fine. Problem with that, where's the government getting the money to buy the bonds back?
From us.
From bonds.
Yeah.
So they're buying their own debt with their own debt.
Yes, that has been America's problem when it comes to something of this nature. It's like how you buy debt with I had this discussion with a bunch of guys for a comic book show, and this was during like it's like a couple months, like you said a couple weeks ago about the Warner Brothers being bought by Paramount. At the time where Warner Brothers was and Discovery were merging, the thing is both of them were in debt, and I literally stated as how you buy debt with debt. It doesn't make sense. And this proves it. It's like when you're giving away money, or better yet, using our money that we invested in you to try to profit off of this, grand vision of, the democracy that you pretty much thought that you were trying to promote in this administration. But after what you just stated about buying bonds in Argentina, in Japan, God knows where else to pay us back. And it's like, wait, you're buying, you're paying our bonds with their bonds to pay us back. It pretty much becomes nothing. It doesn't make sense. That's why it's like, who you're putting in people who do not know what the hell they're doing. Where do these people
they're
come
doing
from?
it on purpose to make a bunch of money. Like that's the other.
I get that, but the thing is, it's like you're saying you're trying to make money, but the thing is like this is again. I've said this to a lot of people. I've said this on this show. How in the world did you vote into the Oval Office a con man? This is the con.
I don't know, man, but they are like, Bessent is doing this with the he's going to buy back bonds with debt. You guarantee all of these guys are making money in their personal capacities,
right?
Knowing this stuff in advance,
right?
And there's nobody who is interested in holding them accountable or managing, the insider trading aspect of it. So in any other previous administration, you would say, okay, these are well-meaning people, they're making whatever they can, they're doing the best they can, and they've got the U.S. interests at heart. There's no way you can look at the current Trump administration and not see every single one of them working the system to get their own personal wealth up because they know that they are crashing the rest of it. And I would point out that while they gave away all that money to those billionaires in that 2017 tax law, all of those billionaires are rooting for the economy to collapse.
Right.
Because the value of the economy will go down. And then they can buy up all of the pieces of it and turn it back on and all of a sudden be even more fucking wealthy.
This is why I think that when the 29 crash, the 1929 for those who don't understand.
There's so
They
many
were
now at
not
this
fully
point.
prepared for that because
Right.
they didn't anticipate for something of that scenario to fully happen. In a weird way, it's kind of happening again. But these, again, like you said, these billionaires, they're more so pre-planned everything. They're more prepared for it and figured it's like, okay, we can protect our interests. We'll be fine. The thing is like your workforce is the one that now will be more hurt than was back in 29, where it was pretty much everybody. You try to build this whatever protective shield for yourself by doing this. This is again where I highly sadly have stated many times. You hired a con man into this office and you put in all his lackeys out there who do not know what the hell they're doing except whatever scheme and scam they're going to put out there to claim that it's going to be beneficial for everybody, which it isn't. It just benefits those one percenters, and those one percenters that who want to be taxed higher and who wants to say, hey, not for all this. It's unfortunate that like their voices are not being properly heard. I mean, it just makes no sense to where it's like they're a good sized number of people of the one percenters are stating the fact that's like, yeah, this is we help benefit the economy. It doesn't, because everybody will be hurt by this. Morally, it'll be the one percenters because even though they'll get the profit out of it, but the thing is like, no, this does not help at all.
It's all part and parcel of the same problem.
Right.
That they're all doing this for themselves, and they're stealing the value of the economy out without thinking about that there could be some sort of repercussions. Again, it's just, I mean,
if this
it's shocking, but it's not
shocking. It's not shocking because
it's okay. It's bad, but it is one of like hundreds of similarly bad things happening all the time. And this is what Bannon was talking about with the flood the zone thing. If you do enough nefarious shit all at once, nobody can keep track of all of it. And that's what they're doing here.
Right. All these
$40 trillion is a lot of fucking money. And the idea that we owe that to somebody, and mostly to America, to ourselves. So we owe it a lot of that. Do you know who buys the majority of those bonds, by the way? Social Security. Social Security, by law, has to use the money that they take in from all of our paychecks to buy U.S. treasuries. And what can happen is the Congress can just decide not to pay interest on those loans to Social Security for a while. And then they just don't. So Social Security is owed a lot of money by the federal government, and it doesn't get paid it. And that's what, when people say, oh, they raided Social Security paid for that, that's what they do. They defer a payment on the interest that Social Security is owed in order to offset spending in some other places. And it's okay, we're borrowing from ourselves, but we're borrowing from our future. And it don't work that way. You try to meet anybody has got a zero in their 401k. They're not feeling confident about retirement.
No one is. As much as I've seen a lot of these commercials about finance advisors and all that stuff, it's like trust and believe. It's like
they're not talking to you, Brian.
Yeah,
they're not talking to me either. They're not talking to either of us. All right, let's talk about things that are going away. We've got the Columbia House.
Yep. So as of September 15th, you can buy 13 records for $1 or maybe even a penny if you go further back. Columbia House is going away. So I was surprised of that. I was surprised it still exists.
Still surprised they were there, yeah.
Yeah, so I thought they went away earlier, but no, they've
gone through several bankruptcies. So you could be forgiven for thinking about that. They stopped selling music in 2015. They've been selling DVDs and Blu-rays, which again, it's very difficult to compete with that. Although I am personally somebody who likes physical media because I don't want to depend on the streaming. If there's a prolonged outage there, I still want to be able to listen to records. So I'm with you. I'm a little sad about it. I definitely did the Columbia House thing a couple of times.
I was in, some debt with them.
A lot of people I know were.
Yeah. So, but
Did
I was
you
able
loan
to
yourself the money to get out of it?
Yeah, I was able to finagle it, and surprised enough, I was, able to play the game right to one point and be able to, get the CDs, and I was mainly a CD person with them.
I did it right a couple of times. I would sign up, get a whole bunch of records and CDs, and then immediately cancel.
Right.
And I did thread that needle. I think I did it at least twice, maybe 3 times, which really helped, get the collection up. So, and it was particularly good for getting like classic albums that you didn't want to like admit that you didn't have. So, you could just like one day they're all there.
But I think, like you said, it's with a lot of physical media being, I don't know why. It's kind of unfortunate that
takes up a ton of space. I mean, if you look, it takes up a ton of space. If you look in my house, like even right here where I'm sitting, I've got stacks of CDs sitting here. Look at how much physical space this takes up, and this is a handful.
But be able, if you have a proper space for it, I've seen like, let me give you a perfect example. My parents, they had a lot of, they had the 45s and the vinyl and those things, big thing,
that takes up a ton of space. My parents' record collection would fit in the bed of a pickup truck.
Right. So, but again, it was like, but the cool thing is, you've seen in movies, you pull it out, you blow the dust off, and you put it on the record player, and it sounds like the first time you heard it, since the day you bought it. I mean, that's kind of that's kind of the inspiration. I do have some vinyls. I had
a ton of them. I love that stuff, but that's why the streaming is overtaken it. And gone are the days of the DJs rifling through their crates looking for for the right record for the right thing. I mean, it isn't that anymore.
True, but there are still certain places that sell vinyls, and especially around in the area that we live in, and I think it's like more so it's not people of our generation, but if you think about it, I think a lot of people in our younger generations are kind of understanding of having
vinyl sales are way up.
Yeah,
it's the only category of music
it's tangible, and they were never used to that.
Yeah, people love it, and it's outselling itself year over year over year. It's great, but Columbia House couldn't make it. I found it interesting in this story that Columbia House was launched back in 1955 by Columbia Records.
I thought
specifically as a way to get records to rural customers.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have a record store, right? So they could get this catalog, and they could, like a Sears catalog, and they could order, send me these albums and stuff. Like, imagine you're stuck out in God knows where, Nebraska, and you hear the Beatles for the first time on some crackly AM broadcast, and you go, that's fucking amazing. I got to have that. And it's days to travel to a record store, but you get the mail every day.
Right.
And one of the things that comes in the mail is a little booklet with a bunch of options, and you go through and you pull out that order form and you check off, I want to hold your hand, and you check the box, and in several weeks it gets to you. You get it and you hold it and you play it until the grooves wear out on that record. Can you imagine the way that something like this must have changed the lives of millions of people all over this country.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's gone.
Well, let me ask you this. What was the one album that you had to buy, but even though you didn't want it?
Oh, I don't think I had that problem.
Because I did. There was because they always had the, you had to buy this before you buy anything else.
Well, yeah, you had to pick one of the, like, I don't know, 25 choices, and then then you could get the other 16 records for free or whatever. Right. But I like a lot of music, so I was kind of cool with whatever I had to get. So what was it that you had to buy?
The one album, it was, what was this album? This album, it was, I was forced to buy it, but I think it was it Cure?
Oh, I love the Cure.
Yeah, it was a Cure album. I knew the Cure, but I wasn't really a full fan for it. So I ended up giving it to.
I'll take it. You don't want it?
Well, I already gave it away. It was like one of my former classmates. So it was, like I said, it was a long time ago. But it was like one of those things that happens. It's like I felt like that was the only downfall I had. That was one of the issues I had with Columbia House. Is like you had to get this album, the album of the month or whatever, and it's like I didn't want this. I want something else. Sometimes you forget because you figure it's like, oh,
see, that's how they get you. You got to stay on top of it. The second you get that card, you got to be like, check the box. Nope. And put it right back in the mailbox. Take it back.
Yeah. So
I don't want it because they send you a card first.
Yeah.
They send you the card. You have to send this back within, 2 weeks or whatever, or you're getting this record. And call to cancel. And then you have to call this number, and it would be hard to do. And
right.
Yeah. Oh, I remember. But like I said, I ran that scam on them a couple of times. I was fine with it. Whatever. It's sad to see it go. Speaking of going, we've come to the end of the show. And we're slightly ahead of schedule. So it is Tez's fault. He's the problem. You heard it here first, folks. Tez is the problem on Chip Chat. He's the one that's dragging this out for 2.5 hours. I want to say thank you to our radio partners, the GDR, the DPRK, and Dr. Scholes. Thanks to NOTN for keeping us on for another week. Maybe. Don't know. Thanks to our home on the interwebs, coplaymedia.com. And thanks, as always, to our family here at Beltway and Rip Radio for making us sound as smooth as Trump's new helipad. All right, where can everybody get you on the socials there, Brian?
You can look at me. You can check out No Filter Sports, no_filter_sports_2.5 on Instagram. We are planning a NFL preview soon, or pretty much sort of, because likely will probably be done during the season, after maybe week 1 or 2, depending on people's schedules. But currently, like I said, the last episode, if you want to check it out, we features Tez, where we talked about the World Cup and soccer a little bit. So if you want to try to, get your amped up for the Premier League this weekend, check us out on that episode on YouTube and on SoundCloud.
There you go. All right. And you can find me and the show on the Twitter at ChipChatRR. You can find us on Facebook or Instagram at RipChipChat. And you can find me on the Blue Sky at Chef Chip, being a flaming liberal or whatever the hell we're called these days. Progressive. I don't know what the fuck we're called. All right. And anyway, and then next week we're out. We've got a special assignment. And then the week after that, we're coming back with our favorite game, which is the clip game.
Yes.
So, and I believe we're going to have a special guest for that. So stay tuned.
Oh, cool.
That could be exciting. And we will find out who will or will not eat Mitch McConnell. And it will be a great time. The winner of the clip game gets a shirt that says Ip Clip Georgia right on the shirt. We're having those made for us right now in a special sweatshop in Vietnam. All right. That's the show. I'm Chip. That's Brian. Tez is on assignment somewhere. You've been listening to Chip Chat on Beltway Radio and beyond.
Go Georgia.
For listening all these years, Chip Chat Radio. And we're your host. I hope you enjoy what we promote. Chip Chat